Welcome back, Twisters. Today we're going to be looking at my predictions for the 2021 winner of the Rocket Richard Trophy for most goals scored. So I'm going to be making a few videos like this for other awards, so make sure that you're in the loop, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, and give a thumbs up if you're enjoying this. Thank you. All right, friends, so the way that I'm going to look at this is taking a look at last season. I wanted to evaluate what I thought was the best goal scorers in the NHL, and I did that through a little bit of homebrewed stats, if you don't mind. So I picked 5 categories, statistical categories, wanted to see who finished in the top 10 for each one, and kind of assign point values based on that. And from there, I started kind of making some judgments as to, okay, could this same player be in the running next season? And is there anybody else that I might be missing? So let's take a look at that here. Just remember, guys, this is ultimately very subjective. I'm not an analyst. I'm not any sort of expert here. So these are just my projections, and I want to know your thoughts on the Rocket Richard down in the comments below. As a lot of you will notice, I usually don't like to pick the same players or the most give the most predictable predictions, I guess. So I like to go off the beaten path in some way, shape, or form. So I'm kind of doing that here as well. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the top 10 players in each category, and then I'm going to add up my point totals, and we'll see who are kind of the front runners based on last year's performance, okay? So goals per game, at the top we had Mika Sabanejad, so he would actually have 10 points assigned to him for this. Alex Ovechkin, he was second. Pastrnak, Matthews, Draisaitl, Sebastian Ajo, Kyle Connor, Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and Jake Guentzel. So Jake Guentzel at the bottom, he would get 1 point for this. Even strength goals per game, number 1, Ovechkin, although he's known for his one-timers on the power play. Number 2, Austin Matthews, Sabanejad, Pastrnak at 4th. Keep in mind that he led the NHL in power play goals, or at least among the top goal scorers he did. Kyle Connor in 5th, Sebastian Ajo in 6th, Draisaitl, Panarin, that's the first time he's appeared here, Connor McDavid, and Jake Guentzel. Shots on goal per game. At the top, and he hasn't appeared until now, Nathan McKinnon, Alex Ovechkin, Austin Matthews, David Pastrnak, Patrick Kane, also his first appearance on this list, Sabanejad, Connor, Eichel, Patrick Laine, his first appearance here, and McDavid. Shot percentage. Draisaitl, Sabanejad, Ajo, Braden Point, David Pastrnak, Mark Scheifele, that's his first appearance here as well, so him in point. Steven Stamkos also appearing first. Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, and Kyle Connor. And lastly, we look at goals created per game, and at the top we have Draisaitl, who won the Art Ross and also the Hart. We have Zibanejad at second, Pastrnak, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Panarin, Ovechkin, Eichel, and Stamkos. So when factoring in the player performance over these categories, here is my top 5 for goal scorers this last season. And actually, they're reflected right here. So 5th was Draisaitl, 4th was Ovechkin, 3rd was Matthews, 2nd was Pastrnak, and 1st was Mika Sabanejad. So he had an insanely good season last year. Now we're going to get into my predictions based on that information and, of course, the performance of these players throughout their careers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by eliminating 4 of these players. Actually, 5 if you want to count. I'll get into it. So I'm going to eliminate Alex Ovechkin. And I know, guys, he should be a shoo-in for this, right? He's won the Rocket Richard 7 times in the last 8 years, which is absurd. The greatest goal scorer of our time, of course. Look, there really isn't a big argument as to why he can't still stay in that conversation. He probably will. Maybe it's just that we're seeing some younger players kind of get up there in performance while Ovechkin is kind of plateauing, if not maybe dropping just the slightest at age 35. So really there's no logical reason to keep him out of this except for maybe age, but the guy takes good care of himself. I think he'll still be right in that conversation among the top 7 goal scorers in the NHL in this 56 game season. But nonetheless, I have to, make things a little interesting here. So I've cut Ovie. Second, I'm going to cut out Mika Sabanejad. So if you look at his season last year, it was quite the cusp of his career so far. It wasn't like you haven't really seen the kind of like gradual sloping for him. It was just more like, okay, he's had a couple of really good years, and then all of a sudden it goes through the roof. So can I expect that this next season? I really don't think so. He's more of a guy who would be on track to score over an 82-game season, maybe like 37, 38 goals. I don't see him quite being at the same level this next year. Doesn't mean he's not going to perform all around really well. I just don't think the finishing touch is going to be there quite as much. But of course, feel free to respectfully disagree with me down in the comments. Okay, now the other three players I'm going to eliminate from this list, or from my finalists' consideration, they're all in Canada. So Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Now these guys, there's no reason why they wouldn't normally light things up over the course of the regular season, but you got to look at the Canadian division. Think about the goaltenders who are in here, okay? Vancouver, you've got Braden Holtby, who I think is due for a bit of a redemption season. Along with Demko, we saw what he could do in the postseason last year, okay? Edmonton, not the strongest goaltending there, but in the context of McDavid and Draisaitl, doesn't really matter. Calgary, you've got Jacob Markstrom starting in net there. Winnipeg, you have the reigning Vezina champion in Connor Hellebuck. Toronto, you have Freddie Anderson. Montreal, you have Carey Price. You see what he did in the postseason last year. And also in Ottawa, now they have Matt Murray. So there are some good talents in net in the Canadian division, in the North Division. And hence, that is why I am saying that these guys, probably like Ovechkin, they're going to be at the same level as everybody else for the most part, but I think that maybe a couple other players will just slightly rise above them. So that's the only reason why. I mean, Matthews, the only other thing is that, I don't know, Willie Nylander's been kind of inconsistent in Toronto, so doesn't mean that he's not going to play well next year. It's just you're not entirely sure what you're going to get from him at this point in his career, I don't think. And there are other honorable mentions that I'll give too, including Cam Atkinson, because he was injured for a lot of last year. Sasha Barkov, I think that he's going to raise his game more, kind of like he did 2 years ago. And you got to think of it this way. He's playing without Dodonov and without Mike Hoffman, and he's the captain of the team. They're expected to be in the playoffs. So I think he's going to take a lot of that on his shoulders and produce some results by putting the puck in the net. Victor Arvidsson, he missed a lot of time last year, and this guy was on a torrid goal-scoring pace, I think 2 seasons ago. And he's in the prime of his career. I think he's kind of flying in under the radar. Jack Eichel, that's why I wore this Buffalo Sabres jersey. I nearly had him in this in my finalists as well. I think he's going to have a career-setting season, as short as things will be. If he's going to play with Taylor Hall is going to be his setup guy, and Eichel will be the finisher there. And also Jake Gensel, wanted to make sure he gets some consideration because he's had a 40-goal season before. He obviously missed a lot of time last year, and he's also kind of progressing towards the prime of his career. You could throw other guys on this list as well. Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, one of those guys could definitely take up the mantle with Kucherov out. Patrick Kane, you can never count him out of anything. So, and yeah, there are plenty of players that I missed here. And of course, let me know down in the comments, do you think Scheifele or Laine is going to light it up next year? Anyway, so my 3 finalists. Here we go. First of all, David Pastrnak. There's no reason why he shouldn't be on this list. If you look at it this way, Pasta's career is crescendoing even more. He's still on the rise. And you think about it this way, Bergeron and Marchand, they're more on the plateau part of their career. I'm not going to say that Bergeron's going to fall off this year, even though he's getting a little bit older. But these guys are terrific players, without question. And Pasta's going to get a lot of opportunities from these players still. But he's going to be the guy who's the finisher for that team first and foremost. So Pasta, that's why I've got him number 1. He was still 4th in even strength goals last season, so he's not just a power play weapon. I think he's due to repeat himself as a finalist here. Number 2, I have Nathan McKinnon of the Avalanche. You look at what he did last year, 2nd in Hart voting, scored 35 goals in the shortened season. And, he did this without Rantanen and Landeskog for a large part of the season. So he deserves a lot of kudos and credit for that. The season prior, he scored 41 goals, and, that's obviously a terrific number as well. Maybe not among the elite goal scorers if you look at the top 3 guys in the NHL, but you think of it this way. Look at the division he's playing in this upcoming season. He's got, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, Arizona, who he's already, he's dominated before in the postseason, and also Minnesota. So these are weaker teams comparatively. So I think that playing against those teams several times in this shortened season is only going to work to his advantage. So I see this guy having a monster year. We'll see if I make an argument for him when I look at Hart Trophy candidates, but I kind of think he's the front runner for that too. And my Rocket Richard winner for 2021, and I'm going to kind of pull this one a little bit out of left field, Sebastian Ajo of the Hurricanes. Ajo had a terrific year last year. He had 38 goals, and his trajectory, I think that definitely points in his favor when kind of evaluating his potential this upcoming season. And you look at that for his line mates as well. In Teravainen, good playmaker there, and also Svechnikov, fairly electric too. So I think he's playing with kind of the right talent. I think this Hurricanes team, to me, they're kind of like a starting goaltender away from maybe being a favorite out of the Eastern Conference normally. So I really like what the Hurricanes are bringing to the table overall. And I also look at this, at that Central Division. You know, Kucherov is out for the season. Jonathan Toews, I think, is going to start the season off from illness, right? Kirby Dach is also not going to participate. You look at Mike Hoffman, he's not on the Panthers anymore, and neither is Yevgeny Dodonov. So when you look at the elite goal scorer in that division, I think it's Aho. I think it's him and Patrick Kane. And I think that, a guy who's not even in the prime of his career, I think he can elevate his team to a level that they've kind of been knocking on the door the last 2 seasons. I think they can definitely break through in this division. And why not Aho, right? Playing with one of his countrymen and one of the electric players in Andrei Svechnikov. So I think if I gotta point someone out who's not like an obvious choice, he's the first guy I'm thinking of. But of course, I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Who are your Rocket Richard finalists, and who do you have taking home the hardware? Who else do you think could kind of fly in under the radar and contest and contend for that trophy? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you're in the loop by hitting the red subscribe button and the notifications bell. You can also find my links to Twitter and Instagram, along with a Venmo account in case you want to support the channel that way. Until next time, guys, this has been Nick. I'll catch you later. Ciao.